got lost under the sun, found a home for everyone in the daylight. Passing time, passing towns, all the answers can be found at a crossroads. Only wanna run, only wanna see what's on the other side for me. Can I dream? 'Cause I can hear my heartbeat, and I can hear the weight of the world falling at my feet, singing don't look back. And I can feel the power in me. I didn't know it's all that I needed, just like that. Singing don't look back, don't look back.
This time, it all starts differently, because while you're probably used to seeing me travel solo, this time I'm not alone. After years of working together on various projects, always with a good vibe, I finally convinced my friend, girl I share a truly unique connection with, to hit the road with me. It wasn't easy. She resisted for a long time. But eventually, with a bit of hesitation and a whole lot of courage, she said yes. And that's how our journey began. Full of laughter, good energy, spontaneous decisions, and, well, the occasional tension too, as you might expect when two people share a car for thousands of kilometers. Our destination? Turkey. A land of contrasts, endless landscapes, incredible food, and warm-hearted people. But before we got lost among the rock formations of Cappadocia, before we wandered through the vast Anatolian plateaus, we had to answer one important question. Would that amazing connection between us survive the tight space of our car day in and day out? Welcome to a brand new chapter in my travel stories. After nearly 2,000 kilometers of driving, almost non-stop, we spent our first night in Greece. The place is so picturesque that, despite being completely exhausted from the road, I just can't resist recording the first time-lapse and setting an alarm for sunrise, which, in these natural surroundings, turned out to be an almost mystical experience. The Evros Delta is one of those places that truly surprises you. We didn't expect such an experience on the very first morning of our journey. At the far edge of Greece, right by the border with Turkey, the Evros River spreads wide, creating a vast, self-sustaining world. A world of salty and brackish lagoons, reed-covered wetlands, and silence. It feels like this place doesn't quite belong to humans. There are no paved roads, no cafes, no tourists. Instead, there are winding canals between clusters of reeds, wild lagoons, flocks of birds, and a vastness that seems to go on forever. At sunrise, the light unfolds slowly, gently, as if trying not to wake the sleeping landscape. From above, the delta arranges itself into abstract patterns, like nature painting work of art that can never be repeated. Everything shimmers lightly with the rhythm of the morning breeze. The water's surface, blades of grass, wings of passing birds. Amid this untouched landscape stands a wooden observation tower, simple, quiet, like a window into the wild. As you climb it slowly, you hear only your footsteps and the symphony of a million frogs. And then, it's just you and the view, as if the whole world paused for a moment, just so you could look.
Shambho, Shambho, Shambho,
The Evros Delta isn't just a place on a map. It's a state of focus, a place where nature breathes in full voice and you simply listen. After such a magical morning, we hit the road again, taking our time and setting off just before noon. We crossed the border just before 1 p.m. and continued south. Choosing this route turned out to be a perfect decision. The border was completely empty, no queues, no waiting. The whole process went quickly and smoothly, so we didn't waste any time standing around. For those who'd like to visualize where exactly we are, I've included a map showing our route and the location of our first proper stop. Considering we had just spent the last 2 days almost entirely in the car, the small coastal town of Ginelli was the perfect place to grab a bite and take a much-needed dip in the sea. As you can probably tell from the trees in the background of the shot, it was really windy that day. My drone had to work overtime just to stay steady over the water, buffeted by the wind far more violently than I was rocked by the waves. The sky looked ominous. I kept glancing up with a bit of concern, wondering whether those dark, low-hanging clouds gathering on the horizon would catch up with us, or if we'd manage to outrun them. So we didn't linger too long. Just after 4 p.m., we hit the road again. Farther on, we cut into the Biga Peninsula, located in the northwestern part of Anatolia. The regular road traffic follows the E87 route, but of course I opt for the unpaved version, taking gravel roads instead. Partly because I simply enjoy it and partly because I had planned to spend the night by the lake near the town of Byramic. As usual, I decided to capture this part of the route with the drone. I set it to tracking mode and let it do its thing. It was only my second trip with this still relatively new drone and I was still learning what it could do. So when I saw it heading toward a patch of trees while following us, I started to wonder what it would do once it reached them.
Co zrobić teraz? Ja nie wiem teraz, co ono zrobi.
Flying sideways, it smoothly slipped over the first tree, still keeping us in frame, and we were genuinely impressed. We expected it to stop upon sensing an obstacle ahead, but instead it handled the situation gracefully. It did the same with 2 more trees, waving between them in ways that made our hearts race, but also sparked admiration for what this little piece of tech could do. Impressed, we started to feel more confident that we could trust it in more demanding terrain, and we were excited by that prospect. After all, we often make our way through mountainous paths, many of which lead through dense forest, so obstacle-avoiding tracking is the highly desirable feature that this little bird seemed to possess.
Nie gadaj.
Or at least that's what we thought.
Nie rozjedź go teraz. Na pewno byś na drzewie?
As you may have heard, Marta just said, "Don't run it over now." Are you sure it's stuck in the tree? I was convinced it was, so I decided to reverse back to the spot where we lost it. I figured I would probably have to climb onto the roof of the car to try to reach it. But it turned out it wasn't stuck in the tree after all.
Tutaj?
Gdzieś to było tu chyba, nie? O, tam leży chyba. Leży? Czy nie? Leży.
Ale... Nie gadaj. O kurwa.
Bo ja przejechałem po nim.
Nie wierzę, k***a. No chyba żartujesz.
Są ślady, wiesz, są ślady kół.
Nie wierzę, no k***a.
We welcome the morning by the shores of Lake Bayramic. I won't be showing you the area from above for obvious reasons, although I did have another drone with me. It was an FPV drone I brought along to practice flying during this trip, but I have to admit it didn't go very well. The footage turned out wobbly and not really suitable to include here. As you could see, I set up a shower tent next to the car. It came in handy during a very windy evening, which protecting us against wind and making the shower a more cozy experience. This time, we decided to share our thoughts from the past few days directly with you, so after a delicious breakfast together, we sat down to record.
Hi guys, greetings from Turkey this time. We have arrived yesterday. We started from Greece. It was a bit off the road that we planned initially at home, but I thought it would be nice to start from a calm place after almost, I would say 2 days of driving, but it wasn't 2 days, it was really 28 hours when we had like...
I'll speed things up a bit here because I admit I got a bit carried away talking and I don't want to bore you. Basically, I talk for a moment about the drive, how we managed to cover it in just over a day, thanks to Marta taking the wheel for about 300 kilometers, which gave me a chance to get some sleep without losing time. We also stopped for nearly 3 hours to take a proper break after covering 1500 kilometers, about 30 kilometers past Sofia, Bulgaria, just to recharge a bit, because driving the Defender really does take it out of you. The start of our route wasn't ideal either. We chose to go through Slovakia, where we only had access to local roads, not highways, so even though the route was technically shorter, the average speed was about the same, and we definitely wouldn't suffer less on proper motorways. Then I talked briefly about that beautiful spot in Greece you just saw, the quick border crossing and the road that brought us here. Finally, I get to the story where, yes, we lose the drone on the very first day of the trip. If you're curious what our little filming setup looked like, here's a quick behind-the-scenes shot. Marta was keeping an eye on focus in the frame while I shared my thoughts. Since I don't have a wireless mic for this kind of talking head setup, I don't record them very often, I used an external microphone with a windscreen mounted on a so-called Magic arm. Returning to the story of the ill-fated flight, I explained how we decided to record the episode you've just seen.
And it didn't go quite well, I'll show you. Because I trusted DJI electronics too much, I would say. Because it was following the car quite nicely. It was set to follow it from the back, and as you could see on the video.
I'll fast forward again here, since you already know the story. And the result is this.
it didn't avoid the...
One of the arms was completely broken and two of the motors weren't working, so there's no way this is something I could fix on my own.
Nie.
We had a good time while filming too. As we were setting up the shot, I encouraged Marta to tell the story in English, but she opted for Polish
Się
instead.
zatrzymał, a ty powiedziałeś, że nie, bo on zawisł na drzewie. To sobie później przetłumaczysz na angielski. Chodzi o to, że ja miałam rację. Miałam rację, a prawe koło przejechało po lewym skrzydle.
The camera is out of battery.
By you.
We set off again around noon. After just under 15 kilometers, we came across a spot that looked like a good opportunity to refill our drinking water supply. After 3 days on the road, our reservoirs, especially the external water bag used for quick washing and cooking, were running low, so we decided to take advantage of the chance to stock up. The water bag is mounted on the bracket fixed to the side of the car, which supports it from below. From the top, it's secure with a strap wrapped around the roll cage. Removing it is relatively quick, just unclip the strap and lift the back of the frame. Our makeshift crane, essentially a water spout, is operated by a valve at its base, and the water flows in a strong stream from the cut-off bottle that serves as the nozzle. Since the pressure is high and the stream is wide and being wild, refilling the bag isn't exactly easy. It felt like half the water was going into the bag and the other half onto me. But after a few minutes, the bag was full, and that was the goal after all. Time to remount it. It's always a bit of a challenge since the bag holds 20 liters of water and that gets pretty heavy. That's where the brackets comes in. It bears the weight while the strap mostly keeps the bag stable in place.
To be honest, the water stinks. So I'm not sure if it's drinkable or not. But we will find out.
Smell, however, was coming more from the little pond forming at the base of the crane, so we decided to fill up the drinking water tank as well.
Good. Should we fill up with the drinking water?
We repeated the process, opened the valve, placed a 20-liter canister underneath, waited, and just like that, we had 40 liters of fresh water on board. We continue our journey. The road winds ahead like a pale ribbon of perfectly graded gravel, carved into the side of the mountain slope at around 750 meters above sea level. It poses no real challenge, which makes the drive simply enjoyable, a chance to fully take in the beauty of the surroundings. But that doesn't mean we're completely free of adventure. At one point, the navigation leads us into the forest, and things get a bit more interesting. Still, it doesn't last long, and soon we're back on the smooth gravel again, where we decide to take a short break, where I turn my attention to the second drone. It seemed like I'd finally reached a basic level of control, and there was hope for at least some usable aerial shots. Shaky, a bit twitchy, far from cinematic smoothness of the Mavic, but still they existed. They allowed me to show you just how scenic this place really is. And it's not just any place, but more on that later. While I practiced my piloting skills, Marta prepared a delicious sweet bread with jam paired with strong black coffee. It was a small feast made even better by the setting. Just one more low orbit around the car, and right here I crashed the drone in Turkey for the second time. No worries though, Avata is practically tank of a drone, so she came out of it unscratched. So we continue pushing south. Damaging the drone to the point where I could no longer fly it made us reconsider our plans. It was hard to accept the idea that I wouldn't be able to properly show you the beauty of the country So after spending a few dozen minutes searching online and making some phone calls, we found a repair service in Izmir that assured me they would fix the drone in 2 days. We hadn't originally planned to visit Izmir, but now we didn't really have much choice. The only other service center with the necessary parts was in Istanbul, and even though we were roughly halfway between the two cities, Izmir was slightly more on the way, so we started heading in that direction. As you can see, the road was quite scenic and looked like it had once been more frequently used, now partially eaten away by small landslide, which only added more character to the journey. Roughly 30 kilometers after our picnic spot, we rather unexpectedly arrived at a closed gate.
Hello.
At first, we couldn't communicate in English, so the man called someone who could help us out. After a few minutes of waiting, a competent person arrived.
Hi, hello.
Sir.
Hey.
Where are you from?
From Poland.
Poland.
Yeah.
So you don't see the sign there, you don't read it.
No, I can't read it in Turkish.
Illegally right now.
Why? But you have the tickets here, like 65 liras for entering.
The entering there is illegal.
But you have the ticket.
But you have to enter here. That's nobody there. So I
But
can.
there was no other barriers on the
I
other
can call
side.
gendarmerie. You can search your car. You're poaching. You're hunting. You something like that. You know.
They
Well,
can-
but we missed a group.
people
Few
for
people in
with
the
the car.
bus.
Yeah, but you have to enter in here and living there.
Entering there is illegal. You see, I can call the gendarmerie. You can search for your car while you're in the park. You're hunting, illegal hunting, anything. But we are not going to give you in that kind of trouble. You just make the ticket, the guide fee, and let you go. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Can it be 200?
No, 200. It's not the minimum. Minimum is
65. This is minimum.
65 car,
Yeah.
335 minimum for the guide. You have to enter. So you have to make you like do look procedure. Otherwise, I can go. We can deal with gendarmerie.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Can you give us any paper for this?
Yes,
for
we
this?
do. We do.
Okay. All right.
We do.
The place where we came across this entrance was right here. It turned out to be an access point to a national park. The thing is, on the other side, there were no barriers there at all.
We started here tonight.
You started here.
Yeah.
Okay. In the Byramic. So there was somebody else with you?
No.
No.
Just okay.
We need to get a tag. We need to get your name.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Make it. Just like we gotta make you like we enter legally in it. Otherwise,
Okay.
I cannot help. Okay. Up. Yeah. This is your name and the country. Just name, last name. Okay. Signature here.
Here?
Yeah. 990.
Who's the bus?
Yaz bakalım. Yaz bakalım.
Tak, to nie ma szans tutaj, wiesz.
Bye.
Ja.
So after about 20 minutes, we were back on the road. I still don't quite understand why we were being threatened with this gendarmerie. We had no issue with paying, it's just that there was no gate like this on the other side, so we simply didn't have the chance to do it. And those comments about poaching or hunting felt a bit out of place too. But anyway, we paid 400 Turkish lira. I don't know if they shaved anything off or not, but it was done and we could move on. Half an hour later, we passed through the town of Zeytin. Zeytinli isn't a particularly special place on the map of Turkey, except for the fact that it lies right next to the Kazdağı National Park, which we had just left. Kazdağı is no ordinary mountain. It's the mythological Mount Ida, located in northwestern Anatolia, just south of the ancient city of Troy, near the Aegean coast. In ancient mythology, Mount Ida was a sacred place, frequently visited by Olympian gods and heroes. According to Homer's Iliad, it It was from Mount Ida that Zeus, Hera, Athena and the other gods watched the progress of the Trojan War. The location offered a perfect view over the plains of Troy, just 50-60 kilometers away, and served as a sort of divine box seat for the immortals. And that sweet bun and coffee break where I flew the drone, that happened just 1 kilometer away from that legendary peak. Then it was just a matter of driving along the coast in search of a place to spend the night. We passed endless seaside boulevards, entering one tourist town after another, and started to wonder whether we'd actually find a spot for wild camping. But patience pays off. After checking out a few places that weren't suitable, we finally stopped at something resembling a small campground. At first, we dismissed it, hence the tonal shift in the footage showing an hour's difference between which we kept searching, but eventually realized this was the best we would find in the area, so we stayed. The next day's report will be short. Since it was focused entirely on getting the drone to the service center, we didn't spend much time at the campsite. I made a few wobbly flights over the surprisingly empty spot where we had spent the night, only one of them barely good enough to include in the video. Then we plugged the service center's address into the GPS and headed straight for Izmir. The repair shop was located in the northeastern part of the city, so getting there was relatively straightforward. We arrived shortly after 2 p.m. and traffic was still manageable. But from that point on, driving became a slow, frustrating crawl. Crowded streets, heavy traffic, a few navigation hiccups that sent us into even more congested market-style alleys. Squeezing between storefronts, pedestrians and cars parked wherever they pleased required full focus. Definitely not a place where the prowler felt at home, but once we were in, we had no choice but to find a way out, even though no one seemed eager to make room for us. Worst of all, the GPS somehow got stuck in the loop and we spent about 15 minutes circling those narrow streets. Since the drone wouldn't be ready for 2 days, we had to figure out how to spend the time near Izmir. And when we still wanted to wild camp, we realized we would have to get quite far from the city. After weighing a few options, we decided to head west towards the Biga Peninsula, where we eventually found a secluded spot for the night.